you've got a first, a second, and a third. Technically, it's pronounced Gregan. Gregan. Is it? No, it's Gregan. What am I talking about? I see, even I don't know. It's Gregan. Technically, it's Gregan. So we have Rule 1 versus Falcons in the MENA final. So Falcons came out on top, which now means they're going to the full major. And when we look at the results, you can see both of them doing well in the Swiss. Obviously, one game dropped. 3-1 versus 3-0. Not too big an issue, especially with the game difference. It allowed Rule 1 just about to go on the opposite side of the bracket to Falcons, which is huge. Because if they dropped down onto this lower side, then that could have been rough for the connotations of making it to the final, you know? This is what we really wanted to see, was a Falcons versus Rule 1 final to decide who would be making to the major, and in the end, Falcons came out on top, winning 4-1. So again, a strong performance from Falcons. Let's have a look at some of the stats, see what we see. TRK, oh, good to see TRK looking good. 2 goals a game, that's outrageous. You can see Ahmad playing very well as well. Ahmad one assist per game and 1.2 goals. There's so much firepower from these guys. But yeah, you can see Khaled being a bit more supportive, not actually scoring a single goal in the series, which is pretty crazy considering they got 3.2 goals per game in 5 games. So that's what, like 16 goals, and Khaled didn't get a single one of them, but that's fine. He knows his role. He's more defensive, sits a bit deeper. Not a huge amount of demos from the guys. Ahmad getting demoed a bit, but fairly normal demo counts from both sides. Nada a little bit low on the points, but he does play a similar role to what Khaled does, of like filling in the gaps around him a bit. Khalir's getting loads of saves. Normally it's Rawas getting all the saves, but Khalir's getting a lot of saves on this occasion. Yeah, they're just struggling to score. You can see the shots, it's around the same, it's only one different. 9.4 shots from Falcons and then 8.4 from Rule 1, but it's just the quality of those shots seems to be a lot better from Falcons, so they're getting a lot more goals for the amount of shots they're putting in. So we look here at boost. God, there's a lot of boost being used. Nada, very low average boost. Trying to rely on pads, but just seems to be not able to get much boost. You can see how the boost structure of both these teams looks very similar. You got Nada and Khaled, who are both not picking up hundreds, but then you can see Khaled is getting pads, so he's able to keep his boost up. You can see the average amount's a lot higher for Khaled, so he's able to use his boost in a way that's a lot more sustainable for this off-the-ball player who tends to just sort of like chill out in the middle of the pitch a bit more. TRK and Ahmad both use a lot of boost. Ahmad tends to stay a lot higher. He likes to go into the opposition's half and pick up hundreds a bit more, or the middle of the pitch, get hundreds there and just chill on 100. And then TRK uses a lot more boost. I think TRK's boost is still something I'm like, surely he can use a little less boost, because he uses so much at Supersonic, right? So TRK's boost management is probably his weakest aspect of his game, but then equally you see what he's able to do with his mechanics. So interesting. So Nada's other stats. So I think maybe Nada's playing more of an Itachi role of being like close to the play and trying to disrupt things. I don't know. We'll have to look. And then Ahmad most forward makes sense. Khaled most back by quite a margin. TRK work in the middle. That sounds like Falcons. See Khaled, this is some of the highest average distance of the ball you'll see. Anything around 3,100 and higher is really far from the play. Like Cash is very similar to that kind of depth. Khaled and Cash have similar play styles, just when it comes to what they do with the ball, it's very different. But in terms of the way they position a lot deeper. Yeah, all makes sense. It's actually a very grounded final overall, which is pretty good to see. Let's have a look at the games anyway. Go straight in on 4-1. Oh, Ahmad in the cash car, in the Dominus. Okay. Who should we watch for a bit? Let's watch Ahmad. Ahmad's always good fun to watch. Okay, this isn't the cash car. It's a different design, but... I love this. The comfort from the Falcons guys is to let the play go. Love that. Oh, that is smart. That is so smart. This is what we expect from Falcons. Just the creativity, right? Like Ahmad has realized here when he's going up. Call it the Justin Dominus. Yeah, it's probably an old Justin Dominus. You can see here, as he goes up, he's probably been told no one's challenging, so he then goes, I'm faking. Just because look at how, this is the problem Rule 1 have, is they just go back and defend, and it just doesn't work against a creative offense like Falcons, right? Like, all of them have gone back to defend here. Nada's got to try and predictively block this. On low boost, no less. Got faked out by Ahmed, went too far across, TRK shoots behind him. They can't defend that. So this was the thing that I saw when I first saw them win, is they were getting value out of this sit back and wait play style against Falcons, when Falcons weren't in control. Falcons were looking a bit floppy, looking a bit out of control, giving the ball away a lot. Whereas now that they got their execution on, they are scoring a lot more deadly. Don't look like they're going to get scored on very easily. Like, their boost management's so much better. Their prediction, their positioning, the constant threat they provide as individuals. Look, just everything's constantly hard to read, which is really good. So Falcons, I definitely think anyone who's counting them out of the full major, I wouldn't. They have still got that Falcons factor. Like, the main thing for them is whether they can do it under pressure in a LAN environment against other teams that are good, right? Yeah, this is just such good Rocket League, right? So Ahmad right here. We did a video on Falcons' last event that they played in. We spoke about how good Ahmad is as a first person. So that disruption past the first player is so good, right? Yeah. But yeah, you just can't read what Falcons are doing right now. Like, it's really hard to read all of their decisions, all of their touches. They don't need to rotate very often out of the play because they are... Like, right now, Ahmad stayed in the play on 60 boost. Comes in, makes good decisions, rotates out. Lovely stuff. Really good to see. Great stuff. I mean, this right here, this is a good clear. This is how Rule 1 was scoring before. Was defending and then counter-attacking, right? This is a little bit of a misread from TRK. Right? But this is, like, he just doesn't need to be going for that, right? And the reason why Ahmad can't read this is because TRK's gone. So he's expecting a 50-50, right? He's expecting the minimal thing to be a 50-50. If TRK doesn't go here, Ahmad will be looking to read this boom, and he would have a much easier time reading the boom. Ahmad assumes TRK is going to get a block. If you trust your teammate on a good day, you're going to assume they're going to get a block in this situation at the very least. And so that's why he doesn't read that full boom clear from them. And then, obviously, clears landed upfield, so therefore is in a good position to finish this off. But, you know, like I said, if TRK in this moment doesn't go, then Ahmad's going to be looking to read this boom, and he'd probably be able to get up to this. So there's a few different things there, and sometimes that's the difference for third between being able to read something and not, is the clarity of how likely an outcome is from your teammate's attempt on the ball. And that's why fake challenges and forces are so deadly, because you don't have to read the chaos, you just read the straight up hit from your opposition. But as we said, these guys are 3-0 up right now in a final, feeling confident. That was a little bit of an overheat. We don't really talk about overheating much in Rocket League. It's something that definitely gets used more in games like shooters, where, you know, each round you get a kill, which is like the equivalent of a goal, and then you can chase those beyond that point. Same with League of Legends, right? Like, you can overheat in those kind of games, whereas in Rocket League, we call that an overcommitment, because if you score, you score. If you don't score, it's an overcommitment. And I would say that was an overheat from Falcons to try and force a goal not force a goal, but be overly aggressive in a game where they've just scored so much, you know? So what's happened here? So Nada's used a lot of boost for not a huge amount here, right? 100 boost, just burnt. Because that first touch wasn't good enough, so he had to use 100 boost to get the 50-50. And then what you notice here is for Ahmad, he's got the advantage in the 50-50 right here, right? Because that ball is going to just sort of go towards him. And then he can just 50 that out into the middle, where, as you can see here, Kiliz and Ruas are a bit too close, where TRK can just chill out and read this straight up. Yes, you could say this is a Kiliz and Ruas mistake, but I see this as, you know, this isn't good enough from Nada to use all 100 boost to give a favourable 50-50 to Ahmad. And it's very good from Ahmad to wait and just go for the 50, but like Kiliz and Ruas, both a bit too close. TRK just single jump aerials at it. Very easy for him. He is Killers, not Kiliz. Right, let's just take a moment, like, while this game is playing out, and there's not really much going on. How do you pronounce my name? Technically, it's pronounced Gregan. Gregan. Is it? No, it's Gregan. What am I talking about? I see, even I don't know. It's Gregan. Technically, it's Gregan. I got sick of people mispronouncing it Gregan that I just stuck with Gregan. As someone who has changed my name to Gregan based off of the public mispronunciation of my name, I'm going to stick with Clears. Okay, let's have a look at this 3-2 here. Exactly. People just assume it's long for Greg, but it's actually a surname of an Australian rugby player, George Gregan. And it's a surname... and I named a character after it in a book I wrote, and then I copied it as my username. So, yeah. No, I know I'm not him, but when I originally named myself, I was like, hey, I'm Gregan. Like, if I go back to some of my early videos, which I recorded, I probably went, hey, Gregan here. But then I spent enough time going, no, it's Gregan, that I gave up on it. Alright, what's happened here? Okay, so just a few lost interactions here. This is fine. That attempted bump on Rawas was narrowly missed. Unfortunate. Rawas gets a very good 50-50. And then Killers gets a nice little touch onto the back wall here. Smart, nice recovery. Awkward for Ahmad. Anyway. As you can see in this game, there are 3 goals to rule 1, which you say fair play. I would say all of them are overcommits. Like, look at the boost amount at this point here. See the boost amount above? And then we've got a Khaled dive in right here. So this is one of the hardest things to judge in Rocket League. As you can see, Khaled right now is diving in as the first while his teammates are recovering. But there is no potential follow-up from teammates. And his team needs to get boost right now. So by diving in at that point, it's like a bad tempo thing. And it's really hard to judge this, especially under pressure. It's what Itachi does so well as a player. And it's why K-Corp have got so much success. Is because Itachi has amazing timing as the first person challenging. And then consequently, it opens up a bit of space. Because then on the recovery if we look at this position here, you can see on the recovery from TRK, he has to go via the middle to try and support. So rather than getting a nice route in, kind of cuts through the middle. And you see that ball goes out to the corner, and Khaled right now doesn't have any boost, so he has to go for the 100 here rather than go for the ball. TRK probably should have got that ball off the corner, but just misread it. Let's see if we can fly from TRK's point of view. And we can watch. So it's 50-50, gets too close, and then just can't read that bounce, right? And the reason why he was too close is because he had to come in and support the team on his way back rather than just chilling off the ball, because they didn't have very good control pressure. And you can see now Ahmad, on a low boost, has to be the player who wastes time, right? You know, we said how Khaled needed to do that. Now you've got a position where Ahmad has to do that. And obviously Ahmad is in a much less favorable position because Rawas and Khalid can work together here to just 50-50 him out the game. So if Khaled had done that wasting of time, it would have been much better for the team. But again, it's one of the hardest things to judge in any game of Rocket League is the timing when your teammates need you to waste a bit more time as the first challenger. Yeah, like we said, TRK misreads that bounce, almost gets a save, but great shot from Rawas. So that's that goal there. Okay. Like, Rawas would have scored here. Let's just get into this position here. I know we've got the Killers mess up on the kickoff. That's a mechanical mistake. This is a decision-based mistake from Ahmad. If you're facing this way, right, the only area you cover well is this area here. This is the area you cover first well, and to be fair, if you're trying to specifically play the kickoff to here, fair enough. But in this situation, what you have to do is you have to change the way you think about the kickoff, because normally we refer to the person in the middle as the cheat, right? The person who comes up close is the cheat. The person who goes for the boost is the boost grabber, right? But realistically, what you're actually doing here is you have the first person. So you got the first person here. This person is your second person, and then this person is your third. You've got a first, a second, and a third. If you are deciding to send the ball into a dangerous location, if you're trying to send the ball like this into this space for the dangerous kickoff that is to send it to the boost grabber, this person is no longer your third in your mind of your kickoff and is instead your second, right? They then become the second, and then this person needs to position a bit deeper. They need to then move back a little bit further to be a bit more protective, and then they become your third, right? So this is the mindset you've got to have when you're going for that boost grab. Now, what I don't know is, are they trying to do an aggressive kickoff because they're down a little bit? If that's the case, fair enough. But I think this is something they do every time, and it's something a lot of players will do every time. Your cheat then has to be the third, so the protective one. And the reason why they do a slower cheat is because then they can get a lot more stuff in the middle of the pitch. You know, if we draw a big area like this kind of area, that's what they're covering. And also they can quickly rotate to this boost and then get back nice and easily. They can also just rotate via this pad here and come back into the net really quickly. So they've got a lot of good options there. But the reason why I say that is because currently with this cheat here and Ahmad here, there's a massive crossover of one particular area, and that's this area here. Because Khaled can aggressively move into this space here and take the ball if it goes there, in the same way Ahmad can. So you've got this massive crossover of space, and then what that means is that you don't have as good coverage of a lot of other areas, which is actually where the ball ends up going, right? The ball ends up going into a place that they don't have very good coverage of. So they open themselves up to be likely to concede, but not as likely to score, right? And that's why you've got to be really careful, because even if the ball does go to Ahmad, the timing isn't great then for the team. This is something I don't really speak about when I talk about this kickoff, and this is something I can't really prove yet. I'm looking to prove this with some support from some data people, some smart data people. But if Ahmad gets the ball in this spot right here, down in the yellow area, say the ball pops out within the first second, goes into this area, Ahmad gets the ball, takes it up the wall and tries to score a goal, right? Ahmad then has to take it slower than he'd want to, because it doesn't give up enough time for TRK and Khaled to go support him, right? Because if he goes up the wall, goes for that play and looks to score a goal, Khaled can't rotate out and get boost. TRK has to try and get to the mid boost super quickly and rotate back in, and the team is then over-committing off the back of that move. Obviously, if it goes in, it goes in, but if it doesn't go in, then they're going to be over-committed, right? And that's my biggest concern about the turn up the wall, boost up the line, get the ball that way. And then this puts them on the back foot for a while. And then you can see the boost amounts above. Ahmad just rotated away and got boost, then comes in and gives the ball away a little bit. TRK has boost here, uses it all up. And then they're on no boost here. Ahmad centers it, and now they just need to do a high aerial play and they score. So, yeah, that's an interesting outcome of this game. Let's fast forward to the goals here and see. I think right here, a little bit early on the jump. Hard to read. And then Ruas panic double jumps because he thinks it's going to be a shot there. And then obviously Ahmad's got full power in that situation. So yeah, a little bit of... and obviously we didn't mention Killer's first attempt at the ball. You see how his delay and rotation out? Here. Had he just rotated out instantly, he would be there now, right? So it's interesting, just that slight inefficiency in exiting the play, we can see in hindsight, was enough to throw him off, you see? Right, like right here. Bad landing, stops, no boost to rotate out, gets the 100. Interesting. In conclusion, Falcons' offense is just so much more deadly and dangerous than what we're seeing on Rule 1. Rule 1, we're trying to just defend too much, and they can't hold up the defense for that long. I think also the challenge game, Falcons just won a lot of the challenges in the midfield, which created the space for them. And like, when they had possession, Falcons were so scary, where when Rule 1 had possession, they would quickly peter out because they just weren't able to get through the structure that Falcons offer, which is aggressive Ahmad, TRK, Khaled filling in the gaps, and like the relentless returning of TRK and Ahmad because of how much they speed around the pitch. Ahmad with his boost efficiency, TRK with his momentum efficiency. So yeah, this is a very scary Falcons, and one that I wouldn't count out of doing well at Rotterdam. I think it would just be exciting to see how they match up against other strong opponents in other regions, because they've downloaded Rule 1. They get Rule 1 now. They know how to beat them. But I want to see them against the likes of your Gen.Gs, your K-Corps, and all the other teams that are strong in other regions, especially against the club, because I feel like these guys could really punish the club speed. So we'll see.